have hit the season finale of Last One Standing 3 is Oh Heck Nah, a Naked and Afraid podcast. And I'm telling you, this has been a wild ride. I almost forget my own name, but I am Malu Beyonce, am super fan turned Naked and Afraid survivalist, and I have with me my co-host.
Yay, Gabe, super fan turned even bigger super
And that
fan.
is 100% true. Gabe is a super fan. I cannot believe that we've already made it through the entire season, and I'm just like super happy about it. I think we've grown. I think we've learned a lot, and let's get into the show. Are you ready, Gabe?
Ready, just like
It's
SpongeBob
season
said.
finale, and we're going into it. I want you to take the lead. I'm going to give you main host capabilities, and just let's dive into it.
Okay, so here we are, season 3 of Last One Standing. It has been a massive roller coaster of emotion. Matt Wright nearly went home the first week. Kai got med tapped day 6. We had the Black Cowboy self-tapping. We had 3 people tapping in one episode. We had Max tapping the episode after. It has been a wild ride. Jamie was the secondary antagonist, but unfortunately the sun took him out of the competition. And we are finally at our end. Tricky got eliminated last episode. The anime lover who went through his character arc left, and now we are down to our final 3. Darren, Chini, and Matt, and they have to face this final gauntlet, and whoever finishes first will become last one standing, and they will earn $100,000 and a perfect 10.0 PSR.
10.0 PSR, baby.
don't think
It's the dream. I would love to have it. Let's just go ahead and announce it. Let's not play any games. Who is the winner of Last One Standing? And let's talk about how we feel about it.
The winner of Naked and Afraid, Last One Standing, Season 3 is, dramatic look to camera, dramatic look to camera, dramatic look to camera, Darren!
And are you happy about it? Like, are you like sad, disappointed? What was your feeling?
I wouldn't say I was disappointed. I was a little bit sad that I wasn't correct in my winner pick of Matt, but I don't want that to detract from the fact that Darren has won, and he worked really hard to get where he was, and I would have been happy with anyone. It's just, I thought it was going to be Matt, and I've been right on so many things so far. So to be wrong, I'm more mad at myself or sad at myself for being wrong rather than Darren winning. How about you? How do you feel about Darren's win?
Sleeper. He was slowly creeping into the show. And I would say maybe the last episode, I really started to feel this bond. I don't know why, but I felt this bond towards Darren. And I guess it was because of the editors. We're going to name them Tricky too, because they really played with my emotions. And that funny line when he was with Patrick, a couple episodes back, he's like, I don't think so. I really think that made me fall in love with him. And just one more thing. Remember when they were biting into the figs and all those bugs came out? That was Darren, right?
Yeah, that was Darren
And
with
so I
Kayla.
kind of fell in love with him then too. So he just slowly melted my heart, and now he has it.
Yeah, I was really surprised with the editing too, just because him being focused on happened so much later in the season, where even with Chini, her storyline kind of really came in when Trish, Kayla, and Laura all tapped for the challenge, and Matt kind of had like an up and down edit the entire time. So I was kind of focusing on them, and it wasn't until the second to last episode where I was really just like, Darren is a big player in this game. So the editors got me. They tricked me. I was just like, they got me. So I will give them that.
Yes, they were the silent player in this whole Last One Standing season. So let's get down to the meat and potatoes. Why don't you give us a quick recap of the show, point out what you think is important, and then let's talk about our emotions with Matt, Chini, and Darren.
Okay, so at least to start out the episode, what's also interesting is they say that, or at the beginning they said it was going to be a month long, but it ended up being 32 days. And so when it was like day 31, they get the scroll and it's like, make a ladder and cordage for the final challenge the next day. And I was just like, no month has 32 days, but
potatoes.
But exactly. And the survivalists are tasked with making at least 12 feet of cordage and a ladder that is at least 12 feet tall and has 7 rungs. And Darren has a bit of an advantage because he has the sauce and he was saying, oh, it's so easy to cut through these trees. And Chini has an advantage with the paracord and to tie the rungs of the ladder. And then Matt's just like, I have this boar hide, and he's tying it up and he's like, those rungs aren't moving at all.
But he
So
was at
I
a
think this
disadvantage
was
because he didn't have all the extra, but he came up with his own advantage. But the second disadvantage was his weight.
exactly. I don't know how to word it because it's like like of the three, he does weigh the most, but that's not to be like body shaming. It's like he's taller than the remaining survivalists. He has a lot more to worry about in terms of making sure that the ladder stays and doesn't break or anything. He was worried about that. Matt is like and is very adaptable and is an engineering genius. And he's like, I'm just going to use this boar hide and I'm going to tie it up and it's not going to move and everything's going to be great. And then they make their cordage, and Chini is saying how because she's a seer, or they had her make a lot of natural cordage, and so she was able to do it really easily. And Darren method had him making cordage until like 3 o'clock in the morning. And so it's like,
Yeah.
but luckily,
Just to touch back on Chini, I loved her line where she was like, when in the world am I ever going to need to make natural cordage when she was out in seer training? And it's like now she's on Naked in a Frame making cordage. I really loved it. I don't know, something about that touched me.
yeah, it's like when you're in math class, it's like, when am I ever going to use the quadratic formula? And she's just at the moment like, oh no, I have to use the quadratic formula, minus b plus or minus squared, b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. But so basically, I really like this gauntlet challenge because it tested various survival aspects. I know on previous episodes, you're like, what kind of challenges do you want to see? And I'm like, this is a good one because it tests their like engineering and building skills. And the first phase was using their ladder to get a bow and then race on to phase two. And phase two was they have to shoot two sets of arrows at two different targets, and they're like crocodile targets a good distance away. And so when they start doing it, Matt easily climbs his ladder and gets his bow first. He first four shots, he hits his crocodile targets. Darren and Chini are a little bit behind, but during usually they had sections where they had to swim, and Chini and Darren kind of caught up a little bit while they were swimming. And it was really funny because people were talking about like, why are they swimming like that? Because I think Chini was kind of doing like a sideways breaststroke. Darren was like doing a very fast doggy paddle, and Matt was doing his own thing. But I also think that maybe because their packs and stuff might be weighing them down a little bit, so they have to like maneuver with their packs and stuff. So
Also,
they
they
were
had to
having a bit of
protect
a
their
difficult
ferro
time.
rod. So that might be another
Yes.
reason why they were swimming like that. But yeah, the swimming was odd, but I think there was a lot of reasons,
Yeah,
pack and the ferro rod.
yeah, and I'm a swim coach, so I'm like, do they have their fingers together while they're swimming? I think breaststroke would be best for this situation. Like, I would be doing freestyle stuff, but I'd also be like, oh yeah, I have a mic pack on that's like around my neck. Gotta focus on this. To get to phase three, they had to like come across the river, and then they had to use their natural cordage and attach a J hook to it, and they have to use the J hook to fish out a fish trap, and in that fish trap is their ferro rod. So they're doing that, and of course Matt is still in the lead, and so he's able to get his pretty quick. And then Darren was a little bit ahead of Chini because when they were shooting their arrows, Chini got a little bit behind, I think, or I think the swim across, Darren was able to kind of catch up with Chini, but then Chini was able to retake second place, and then Darren had a little bit of a difficult time with his J hook and natural cordage. I think he said he made it too well and it kept like moving around too much, but eventually he was able to get the
That didn't
J
make
hook
any sense to me,
or
his
to get the
reasoning for
strap.
why his rope wasn't working. But that's me being not a natural born survivalist like him. But I thought it was a little weird. I think it was a lot of nerves. I mean, just to be honest with you, I don't see how it could affect it that much, but I could see maybe the way you connected your J hook on there, or the length of your J hook, or the weight, but just the way you built your cordage, I had a hard time wrapping my head around. But this is what I love the show for. I'm learning things all the time.
Yeah, and he said he took a little bit of slack out of the end of it, and then he threw it back in and was able to get it, so he's a little bit behind. And then after they complete phase three, they have to go jump off a waterfall. You know, when your parents are saying, well, if they jumped off a cliff, would you? Well, of course, if it's for $100,000, then you may have to jump off
That's
that
right.
cliff. So they all three jump off that cliff, and people mentioned a lot Darren's kind of flapping motion as he was jumping in. And so people were like, was he trying to fly a little bit? But I'm sure that was just like he didn't know he was doing it. But Matt was able to get to the shore first, and then Darren kind of surpassed Chini with his Chihuahua doggy paddle, just and what they had to do at this final test was they have to they all have individual pyres, and on each pyre near the top there is a rock that is tied up in cordage. And so they had to start a fire that would burn the rope, and whoever rock dropped first would become last one standing. And so we have like 10 minutes of them all trying to start their fires. Chini's ferro rod kind of breaks where the iron or the ferro part breaks off of the handle, but she's able to get it back. They're all trying to start their fires. Darren's the only one who finds some dry grass. And so they're all going, and Chini's able to get her fire first, followed by Matt. But then, commercial break, building tension. Oh, will Chini win? Will it be Matt? Who will it be? And then, Darren sets his grass on
And
fire.
whoosh,
The fire goes
it
up.
goes.
And it goes. And he was very smart because he's like, you know what? I need to think smart about this. I don't want to have to go back out there to get more materials. He gets that dry grass. He sets it on fire, burns the rope, and the rock drops. And Darren has become the winner of season 3 of Last One Standing.
Okay, so let's break this down.
Woo!
Let's break it down. So the first thing that occurs to
Okay.
me, especially because we were pulling for Matt, as much of America was, his paper bark little part looked so rinky dink. I didn't understand why he had such little. It would seem like to me, not to take anything away from Darren, but common sense tells you to build up your Tinder bundle. What was up with Chini and especially Matt's Tinder bundle, especially when they're looking over at Darren and Darren's is literally almost touching. His Tinder was almost touching the
Yeah, and Matt mentioned he didn't know where Darren was able to find that grass, but maybe they were just thinking, here, let me get it started, and then I could run, grab some more paper bark, like tear it up and come back. But they wanted to start that fire first just so they can have it and then build upon it. But I think Darren was really the only one of the three who had a plan coming into the fire. And unfortunately for Matt, his weakness has been primitive fire because the first challenge, he made his fire too big. He kind of he overthought his fire. Like his adaptability and engineering brain was really good for the building and stuff, but with primitive fire, he overthought it. Like in the rocket stove challenge, he was making a fire underneath an overhang to start his fire. So unfortunately, that was his weakness a little bit. He overthought it, and it cost him last one standing. And with Chini, even though she had fire first, she also didn't really have enough materials to defeat Darren or to get her fire bigger than Darren's. And Darren was just like, okay, I'm a little bit behind, and
I
whoosh.
still cannot understand the thinking. And I'm sorry to say this again, but I don't understand the thinking of your Tinder and your fire just to be so small. I just don't understand it. That's definitely their downfall. Let's talk about how weird it was because even when they were showing it, they don't even mention that Darren's has caught on fire when it actually caught on fire on the actual show. Like Matt was running to go get Tinder, and before he could even secure Tinder, Darren's fire and rock dropped. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was a blink and you'll miss it moment. I think I heard a noise. I looked away. I looked back, and boom. And then I had Chini's reaction. She's like, did his
Yeah,
rock drop?
it was really weird. It was like Matt was kind of like, I mean, I think it was a shock. Nobody could believe that it could have gone up that fast.
Yeah, I think when your adrenaline is pumping in that moment, you're like, I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go. I need to stop. But like, wait, what? It's over?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was in
Gotta calm
seconds, like
down.
they
But
said, but it was also very non-climatic. It was just Darren just went up so fast. What'd you think about his war call at the end? Because in the beginning, he was shocked that he won too. I think everyone was like, "There's no way that could have happened." And then it kind of like kicked in that he just won $100,000.
Yeah, I think that's kind of his signature war cry because I know EJ has his like, yeah, signature yell. A few others have their signature yells, but Darren has his signature yell, that like, woo
It's a little weird, right?
yell sound. It's
It's unique.
unique, to each their own. A lot of other survivalists that we've seen a lot have kind of had their own catchphrases, and I guess this is his catchphrase, other than the I don't know about
I don't know
that,
about
that
that.
when
I
he said to
love that so
Patrick.
much. And I mean, his war cry, it reminds me of, and I should know this, there's some people here that are gonna get really mad at me, like the Samoans that do the dancing. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about the one and they stick their
Yes,
tongue
like
out
The
and
Rock.
stuff? I think that's like Maori, Maori. I think that's
Uh-huh.
New
No, 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 not New
Zealand.
Zealand. I'm talking about Samoans. They call it, Siva Tau.
Like the
Yes,
hitting of the
and all
arms
that.
and
And it
stuff.
does say that there's some
Yeah.
of them from New Zealand. You're right. You're always right. The ones I know are from Hawaii. So I don't know. I must be off a little bit. But anyway, I think another reason why Darren's war cry was seemed out of place and weird because nobody was really kind of celebrating with them. Everybody was still kind of in shock. It was just kind of weird. The whole scenario. I'm not gonna lie. It was weird. Not just his war cry.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to like when Wise won and he's cheering and Dan's like, good job. And there's the triumphant music. And then the next season when Dan gets his pyre on fire and he's cheering and Fernando and Kai are like, good job. And
What
then in this
happened?
one, they're like,
What just happened?
then Darren and Matt are kind of giving a hug and Matt's just kind of like, okay. And then Chini runs in. She's like, good job,
Yes, now
buddy.
let's talk about Matt. Matt has some tears coming up. Like, couldn't you see, or was it just me? It looked like he was holding back, like, defeated tears, not happiness tears for Darren.
Yeah, during a few parts of his interview, or yeah, during parts of his interview, you can tell he was getting a little bit choked up, but then we got other moments where he wasn't as choked up, so maybe that happened near the end of his talking head, but it was sad that he didn't win. I'm not trying to take it away from Darren, but you could see how hard Matt's work, his successes have spoken for themselves. You can never say like, oh, that was weird how he got that big game animal. Or you see that giant bridge that we see them building. Oh, the producers probably made like you can't, there's no way you can like deny how great he is. So I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, come on, Matt, you've proven your skills over these challenges. So close and yet so far away. And again, that's not to
No,
say
however, has anybody in the fan universe been talking about how Matt's overrated? Have they?
not not a lot, at least in the True Fans page. There are a few other pages that I've seen where people are like, they haven't necessarily said, I'm glad he's win, or it's like, oh, he didn't win. Maybe he shouldn't have bragged so much, or oh, he's so overrated. There have been a few people who have been very anti Matt and are happy with him not winning, but at least in the True Fans, a lot of people have been like, oh, they all won, they were all so amazing. Or I think Matt won because of his hard work and dedication and his bushcrafting and stuff. He's worked really hard. So luckily, at least on True Fans, from what I've seen, a lot of people have been very supportive and are just like, at season one, LOS Matt isn't, that was just editing kind of thing. There were just a few kind of moments, but like Matt is like the real deal and one of the best survivalists of the franchise, if not, America or the
Right. And
world.
so that's why me personally, I just feel really bad for Matt because he really does have all the ingredients it takes to make a perfect cake. But sometimes the cake falls, like if you don't stir it the right way or there's little things, something will mess it up. So does he come back to last one standing? Or because if you come back and you don't win again, and that's me, that's my mind and my personality, somebody analyze me and let me know why I think that way. I wouldn't want to come back and fail again. It would just break me. I don't know. I'm not a fighter like that. Should he come back or not?
I would like to see him come back as like the super epic mentor, like it's an XL there are going to be 12 survivalists. 11 of them have only done one challenge. And then you have Matt, who's going to mentor all 11 of them. Like, I think that would be something he would do. Or I think if Matt does come back, he needs to be, well, one, he needs to work on primitive fire and not overthinking primitive fire. He can overthink everything else, just not primitive fire. But if he comes back, he has to be a little bit
Yes.
more competitive. He was more competitive than he was in season. I was thinking about this and I was just like, he was being such a den dad. He was helping, he was not being too supportive, but he was just kind
Even the
of,
way you're thinking
I don't know how
about it,
to
like when you're
explain
in
it.
the middle of a challenge, he's still trying to explain stuff like a den dad, like you said. I mean, all the time he's thinking
Yeah,
like
and
that, and you have to be more competitive and focus and think about not the right way to do a rocket stove. Think about the way to win the competition.
exactly. Maybe not, as we talked about last time, don't feed your competition so much. Because he's putting out all this energy to get this food, and he's taking and he's going to be able to eat, but he's still going to go out and do more hunting. So that could affect him. But I think not feeding people as much and working with primitive fire, I think that'll be his winning combination. But I think that this is just my personal opinion. If you do two last one standings within 5 years, and if you're not med tapped, I think you should wait a little bit longer than a year or two before coming back, because then it's just the same people over and over and over again. And that might get a little bit stale because it's going to be the same dynamics probably over and over again, with maybe two or three new people who may not last that long because they're not as used to last one standing as people who have been on three to
That's a
four
very
times.
good point, Gabe. I love that you brought that up because I don't want to keep seeing last one standings where Matt's feeding everybody. I'm sorry, I just don't. I think it's great that he feeds people. I don't think he'll ever change that, but it adds an element to the competition that doesn't feel natural. It feels like it's going against the grain of what last one standing is. And in my opinion, it's called last one standing. And that means you have to take care of yourself. So I would like to see that. You're 100% right. Let's have Matt back again, but maybe not right away because I want to see something different.
Yeah, I think there could be like an all stars where all the individuals who have competed two times and have not been mid tap can all compete. So you can have all them together, but maybe save that for season 7 or 8 and the next few seasons. Because I remember seeing somewhere where there is going to be a last one standing season 4, but it was an anonymous participant on one of the other pages. But just in case, hopefully with season 4, we can have either some new people, or if someone competed one time, it could be their second time. But let's mix it up a little bit and create new dynamics, keep things a little bit fresh.
Yes, keep it fresh. I really enjoyed it. One thing I want to go back and just say really fast before we get to Chini is I thought the rules for some reason in this one were a little bit more clear. I really liked how they were like, your ladder has to have this many rungs. It has to support your weight. And I really like that. I hope to see that more in future last one standings. So let's talk about Chini. I feel like even though Chini wasn't last, it just kind of felt that way to me for some reason. I don't know why, but she was the last girl. She said she was the first, runner up. What did you think about Chini's performance?
Chini did really well and not exceeded expectations, but she proved how amazing she is, because I think her last few challenges, and people are remembering her from season 1 and leaving the challenge, and they're forgetting the fact that she is a seer specialist. She was in the military. On her first challenge, she got a massive hook through her thumb and was just like, that's inconvenient, and they had to like get it out, and she's a very
Well, hang
tough
on. You know what I
individual.
also
So I
remember
think
from
this
that
is
one? I remember her losing that fish. And that always stuck out in my mind where she had the fish, but she celebrated too early and she lost the fish. And her face was just like, and I also think it's pretty interesting how on her first challenge, I think her name was Rebel, how, that was kind of a juxtaposition about, girly girls. Remember they put on makeup and stuff and different things. It was always kind of about females, even from that. So to see her arc and grow into, the last woman who stuck in there is pretty amazing, Chini. I admire you so much. You're so memorable. So I loved it.
Yeah, and I thought that was great how, like, during the bow and arrow competition, she's like, "Oh, I didn't really practice, or I have the least amount of experience," and she got 3rd during that challenge, and then when she was shooting at the crocs, her first 2 shots made it. Took her a little bit longer for the other ones, but, like, it was neck and neck between all 3, and I think that Matt should have, like, a 9.9 PSR, and Cheney could maybe have a 9.6, because Cheney only has 99 days, and we don't want to make the PSR too high, so we can, like, see more growth. I think there's more we can see of her talents and skills and stuff. So, like, hers could be like a 9.6 and Matt's could be a 9.9, but I'm also not a survivalist or a bushcrafter, and I don't know really how they do the scores, but I think she definitely earned her over 9.0 PSR.
About the love they have between each other. Aaron and Matt were very complimentary to everybody. So was Chini. I don't know, like it seemed like a love fest back in the Boma kind of thing. Naked and Afraid is so unique. The fact that you can love your competitors so strong. And that's what makes this show even more great. Even when Patrick got eliminated, they showed him some love.
Yeah, I think Naked and Afraid Last One Standing is so unique because, like, the previous seasons have been like work together, camaraderie, we have to help each other with a few exceptions. And so, when you get to the competition, I'm sure a lot of people are like, this isn't what I expected. They're like building each other up, and they feeding each other, and it's not as competitive as I thought it would be. Like on Survivor, it's not as backstabby as Survivor or Big Brother, and it's just a new dynamic. But if you go in thinking like a lot of them will be like caring about each other and not hoping for most of their downfalls kind of thing. It's just you got to mentally prepare because it's not all everyone for themselves. It's an interesting dynamic for sure with everybody, and it's interesting to see more camaraderie rather than like backstabbiness. But I'm sure a lot of people would like some
It's
of
gonna
that
change, I think,
backstabbiness.
especially with
But
Patrick.
yeah, hopefully they will change it up. And oh gosh, yeah, I was thinking about this earlier today. If they want to find a to create alliances within these challenges and dynamics, I think Andrew Shade is a great example of creating alliances because he's like, I know you wanted him to be on Last One Standing, and I'm a little bit iffy because he's had some bad luck, but he is like a survivor super fan. I saw him on the show Buddy Games, which was like a competition series where it's like groups of 4 individuals
Childhood
competing and
friends.
stuff. And exactly. Andrew was really the only one who was thinking of alliances, and it wasn't like malicious alliances. There were a little bit of headbutting a little bit during the season of Buddy Games, but Andrew was so smart with how he wanted to create alliances. He's like, okay, this is the toughest team right here. We need an alliance. We can't have everyone in the alliance. I chose these individuals because they're strong and they've done well in the elimination challenges. I choose this team just because of an underdog alliance kind of thing, and it helped him and his team get to the final 3, and he didn't lose any of his teammates throughout the season. They could either bring him in to compete or they can have him like teach a class on Alliances 101. And I think he would do a great job with that because, we thought Matt and Chini were going to have an alliance near the end, but that didn't really go anywhere. I think that Andrew Shade would be the best choice to either have to make those alliances kind of thing and then hopefully build from there because if we want this to grow and evolve, there has to be a chance for alliances just to
Let's
change
go
the
through it really
dynamic.
fast and think about season 4. Number 1, brand new. If there was a big clash between personalities with Jeff knowing that this is a competition and a game, and everybody else seemed like they did not want to play it that way. And I think on season 2, everyone saw that and they kind of stepped up their competition just a little bit. We had Danny who stole something. It was a little bit more competition in season 2. Now we have season 3, and we have Patrick and Jamie who are coming in there playing mind games. But, of course, Patrick stole, but I think his main thing was mind games. So we have that going on. So season 4, I don't think we'll have Matt back. If we don't have Matt back, I don't know if we're going to have Matt back, but if we don't, there won't be sharing of food, hopefully. And I think everybody will be thinking about competitions. And maybe because of us, gay people will start thinking about alliances. I'm just saying.
Yeah, maybe they could just surreptitiously talk to Andrew like, "Hey Andrew, have you seen Last One Standing? What would be the best way to have alliances? Whether it'd be like, hey, or if I give you this item, then if I win this, I'll choose this item and you can have that item.
Hang on.
Kind of
We need
that
to get Andrew Shade on this freaking podcast to give us some alliance advice.
exactly. He really showed off his
Strategic is the
strategical
word.
mind.
I think that we need to be
Yeah,
more
he was very
strategic
strategic.
next season. I'm sorry to cut you off, but yeah, I think that's the
Thank
word. You're so smart and you don't even realize it.
thank you. Sometimes I find the right words, other times my brain
No,
is
that's the
like,
word. So you want a more
yeah,
strategic last one standing for next year. Strategic on the part of the producers to be more strategic, the editors, the rules, the contestants, everything to be more strategic. Let's talk about some of the mishaps of the show. We had, people tapping. We had leaks. We had things being posted beforehand. And us being podcasters, we have a very strong respect for the show, for the producers, for the cast, for the crew. We have respect for every single one of you. But at the same time, we are real fans. So when we see something posted that affects the show or is a leak, it affects us. It affects the way that we watch the show. I was bummed about the PSR leak. What about you? Were you bummed or were you just, how did you feel about that leak?
I was a little bit surprised. It just kind of caught me off guard because in my mind I was thinking, oh, because of Chini and Matt's edit, it seems that one of them may be winning. And so when I saw Darren won, I was just like, okay, time to pivot. But also, that's unfortunate that it happened. And I just wanted to give an apology to anyone out there who was upset or felt that we were pointing out and making fun of a mistake that
I
happened.
hope it
Mistakes
doesn't happen
happen.
again because it bummed me out as a watcher. It bummed out my friends. So, I mean, I'm not going to apologize for reporting on something that everybody else already knew. I want them to focus on let's get it right. What do you think?
Sometimes I say or bring up things incorrectly and I have a hard time explaining myself. Some of the things I say may be misconstrued. I brought it up during the previous podcast, and so I just didn't want anyone to think there was malintent behind it. And, people were talking about it on the pages, but it was sort of a not. It wasn't as big as the main thing we talked about
Hmm.
that was leaked by Superfan M. And so I was just like, oh, this is something that happened. Mistakes happen. I don't know. It could mean this, it could mean that. And I was giving the benefit of the doubt,
Yeah.
but it's unfortunate. There were some things that, or, or, and so I feel like something happened in Last One Standing season 3 where something happened behind the scenes. Production had to pivot and they did their best, but it was still kind of like, why is this happening? This editing is weird. I would still kind of place it above Last One Standing season 1 just because of the dynamics that were happening. And it wasn't as, I felt like Last One season 1 was kind of like, it was very hectic to me. But yeah, hopefully production has learned from that mistake and hopefully they'll know like if this happens, we can pivot to this or we'll try to make sure this doesn't happen in the
Yes.
future
And the main thing
kind of
that I want to
thing.
point out is even though I got a little like heated right now about it, is what you said. Again, you're so smart, Gabe. We had no
Oh, thank you.
malintent. In anything that we say here, we love the show. We're here to promote the show. We dedicate a lot of time to this show. So we have no malintent. We didn't have anything to do with the leaks. We did not point out the mistake. The mistake was pointed out on social media and we reported on it because somebody went to my page and posted it on my page. I didn't seek it out. So that's what I want to try to explain to everybody. We don't try to hurt the show. We're just reporting on our feelings about what's out there. I was hurt by seeing that. I think Gabe had faith that maybe that mistake wasn't revealing who won, but to me, it felt real. Season's over. I feel like it started off real high with Jamie and Patrick.
Yeah, I wish there could have been at least a few more challenges just to see how everyone does and, kind of get more of a feeling of like who's most likely to win. Maybe give Darren a little bit more storyline because I think the moment where he started standing out to me as a competitor was when he was saying how he's been starting primitive fires and has been starting primitive fires since he was 5 years old in his basement, and his dad had to disconnect the smoke alarm because he was tired of turning it off so much. And I'm like, why are we waiting until now to bring this kind of stuff up? But I guess they wanted to wait to build that up. They wanted to focus on like the early outs or the people who tap and focusing on their stories, and then pivoting into the final four and their stories and their
Say
vulnerabilities,
one for the
good
people
stuff.
in the back.
Season two, season three,
So your
season
least favorite
one
was
for me.
season 1.
Yeah, I just think that there were some things they could have fine-tuned more details. We didn't They had to do challenges to like go from one zone to the next. They had just cash challenges. We didn't get an elimination until the final 7. And before that, we had 2 people being tapped on day 3. Wes unfortunately tapped because he's like, the competition really isn't for me. Chini left because of missing home. And then when we did finally get to an elimination challenge, Sarah gets mad at Steven because she's like, you stole my trail. But then Steven's like, it was an unclaimed, or like the item at the very end of the trail wasn't claimed. You were over there, I was over here. And then I don't know if she's still mad about it or not. And then it's just Matt tore a calf muscle.
It
It
was
was just a
exciting to
lot.
you think.
Yeah, like after watching, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't like this. Why would they do something like this? But then season 2 rolled around and I kind of warmed up to the idea, mainly because Dan won. No offense to Kai or Fernando, but Dan's a marine biologist and I love science. I was like, I'm glad he won. And then I kind of warmed up to it. And now I'm kind of invested now. I've made my recap videos. We've been talking about it. I help admin a page about Naked and Afraid and stuff. So I'm like, I guess
You're
I'm in
in
it
it.
now. And
You can only give one
yeah,
piece of advice. If David Story was going to listen to this and David Story is going to take one piece of advice from you, what would that be for last one standing? Just one.
being put on the spot like a spot like this, I'm sure in like 20 minutes, I'm like, oh, I should have said this. But I guess find a way, whether it be talking to Andrew Shade or taking themes from other competition reality shows, find a way for there to be effective alliances. And maybe not having a bunch of people group up, maybe like 2 or 3 people. Like find a way to add that dynamic because, the challenges are good, the casting is good. It's just if we want to expand outwards, we have to add more elements. And I think effective alliances could help with that. Not necessarily in like voting people
Yeah, no
out,
voting people
but
out, but
kind of
alliances, a way for people to team up and it helped them in the long run. I love that. I'm going to give you my piece of advice, David's story, and I'm kind of actually stealing this from Gabe, but my piece of advice would be have many wins. Not only have cash, but have some monetary challenge wins. So if you win a challenge, you get 10,000. I think that would make it more I think that would make the people more competitive, and I think it would bring a spice to the show. What do you I mean, I stole it from you, so I don't have to ask you what you think, Gabe. He likes it. Just trust me.
I was literally just thinking about that. I'm like, oh, but I was thinking like monetary value. Like I have a whole list of like things to add that I
I
could
know
give to
you do.
David's story,
That's
but
why
I'm
I
not going
said
to read
just
out that
one,
whole list.
Gabe, because I know you have a whole list. I reeled them back for you, David Story. All right. So thank you to everybody that made Last One Standing 3 so great, so memorable. Everybody from the producers to the crew to the cast, and to Australia for being so neat, and that little baby pig that got away from Patrick. Every part of this show I loved. I want to thank you. I mean, Gabe, don't you have so many thanks to give?
Yes, thank you to the survivalists for making good TV. Thank you to producers for making all this happen. Thank you to the medics for dealing with all that
Yes.
that happened during the shelter challenge. Thank you to the crew members. You're amazing. Camera crew, sound, PAs, FD, transport, trans. I'm probably forgetting many ones. I'm sorry. Background performers,
I
the
think
bee's
we're
knees.
forgetting. Thank you to all the great fans that kept their composure. Thank you to the fans who did not get nasty. And thank you to the fans that listened to this show. I can't
Thank
believe
you.
the season's over, but we will be back for a wish list of who we want to see on Last One Standing 4, which we recorded a long time ago. Some of that's going to have to change. And you will also And we also have Apocalypse looking forward to. We have a lot of things to do with that. I'm really looking forward to seeing Wes Harper and Joe on that. Who are you looking forward to? One more thing before you say it. I'm going to say this. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to hold it in my pocket right here, and I'm going to see if you say it. So go ahead. Oh, no, wait, let me write it down. Let me write it down so I won't forget.
Okay. Before or so while you're writing that down, I just wanted to say there was a moment when Darren was flying away where he said, I may not be a
Shut
big
up.
deal,
That's
but
what
I
I just
am
wrote.
the real deal.
Shut up. I swear to
Listeners, I had
God.
no idea she was writing that. Oh my gosh. Oh, I thought you were going to write something down about what I'm excited about for Apocalypse, but I was just like, oh, wait, Darren said
Yeah,
that.
you can't see it. I don't know how to make you see it. I wrote down Stephen Lee because I wanted to talk about what Darren said, and I didn't want you to say, I'm looking forward to seeing Stephen on Apocalypse, and then me act like that's why I brought it up. That is so weird. I love you. Okay, so
My gosh, we are
go
so in
ahead and
sync.
talk about that helicopter moment.
Yeah, I remember because someone on True Fans was like, "Oh, I really like that little," they were either saying, "Was that a little dig that Darren had?" or "I love the little dig that Darren had at Stephen Lee Hall Jr." I'm just like, "Huh?" And I'm watching, and I'm just like, "I don't see it." But then he's at the helicopter, and he's like, "I may not be a big deal, but I am the real deal." And I think he gave like a war cry, and then the episode ended. But I was just like, if I remember correctly, people were on Steven's side for that argument on XL too.
I could not believe he said that. It was crazy bananas. I don't know how to feel about it. And I cannot believe that you brought it up when I wrote it down. I love Steven. Okay. I love him. I love Darren. I'm not 100% versed in the controversy. Hey, baby, on XL about them. You want to fill in the fans?
Unfortunately, I didn't really see XL, but from what I understand, Darren was saying how Steven said that they're all useless or something. And Steven's like, no, I didn't say that. And they were like rolling the footage, and people were like, yeah, no, Steven
I
didn't say
remember
that.
that.
And so
Okay,
there was,
so now that you said it, it just came running back to my head. I remember that so well, and it made it seem like Darren just like straight up lied on Steven. But I'm gonna attribute that to editing magic. I don't know, but it was a great line. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if it was a dig or if it just, felt that way, if it was just coincidence, but that was one of my favorite parts.
so going back to what I'm excited about with Apocalypse, I luckily someone sent me the 22-minute or the 15-minute kind of trailer teaser for Apocalypse, and I was watching, and it made me excited for Wes to come back. It made me excited for Joe as well, and I'm excited to see Teal back because she is very skilled, and it's great to see her back because we haven't seen her since season 9. And I'm excited for Frank and Alexa as well, and Waz, but I'm a little bit worried because he has that perfect 10.0 PSR. If he doesn't make it, then it might be like, oh, but I'm sure they're gonna be like, this is the primitive apocalypse rating. It has nothing to do with the PSR. It's an average of the ratings. But yeah, I'm very excited to see Frank just because on both of his challenges, he had amazing shelters and he was very helpful to his partners. Where Sarah, she was having back problems, and he's like, this leaf will help you. And then Scott, he was a mentor to
I'm
Scott during
sorry, I
their
hate to
21
cut you off,
day
but you're just
challenge.
listing everybody. I need you to list to the one favorite thing that you are looking forward to on Apocalypse, Gabe. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to do it to you.
Gosh, only one. I can't believe I have to choose one. I'm going to say Stephen Kelly because of his
You
accent.
just want to impersonate his accent.
Yeah, but I can't do a Liverpool. The only thing I can say is Liverpool. He's from
Well, I'm
Liverpool
excited for all of it,
or
just
something
like
like that.
Gabe is. Thank y'all so much for watching this season of the podcast, and we will be back. So before we go, Gabe, what else do you have in your heart to express?
Gosh, I hope I'm expressing the right thing, but there's going to be a new TV show that's going to feature Naked and Afraid contestants, but it's not going to be really Naked and Afraid related. Bunham Murray Production is developing a new survival competition series titled Predator vs. Prey, which will be hosted by Reacher star Alan Ritchson. Predator vs. Prey will follow a cast of 15 stars who had previously appeared on survival series such as Alone, Outlast, Naked and Afraid, and Survivor, as they compete in a 21-day game of hide and seek set on a 25 square mile rugged
Wow,
wilderness. I'm excited. Maybe another time we can list off who we want to see on there, but I'm excited to see who's going to be on it. There will be 15 in total, and some of them will be from Naked and Afraid. It's a big game of hide and seek on a 25-mile square foot area. The predators can get up to $500,000 for catching prey. The prey can make money by completing challenges and not getting caught. And each episode, the game is going to be
It's
changed up
like
a
hide
bit.
and seek
So
for
it's very
adults?
exciting. Yeah, hide and seek for adults. And I'm excited to see who's going to be on it. I could definitely see EJ, Matt, Laura, and Kai on a show like this. So I'm sure Andrew Shade will be like, please, I want to talk to the Survivor
I mean, I didn't
people.
wanna be on the show because I love hide and seek, but that sounds great. I cannot wait. Maybe we'll even do a little tease on that show. I don't know. We don't know. We'll see, but stay tuned. Make sure you still like and follow, subscribe. Just because the season's over does not mean we won't have content coming out. We love you. Congratulations, Darren. Congratulations, Matt and Chini and everybody else. I'm out.
Thank you for
We
being
love you. I love
here.
you, Gabe. You're so amazing. We're so on sync.
Thank you.
That
You're
was
great
crazy
as
that we
well.
were both thinking the same thing, right?